What if I could tell you that knowing these things will completely change the way you play Dota and will, without a doubt, make you win more? There's no caveat, you just need to do less of what I'll show you and a little bit more of what I'll tell you. It seems too good to be true, but it's what it is. People oftentimes think that what wins them games is their BKB pressing, the radiance they rushed as Crystal Maiden, how many creeps they have, but it isn't. At least not frequently enough to give you constant MMR, or else you wouldn't be watching this video. So let's go and take a look on these so-called mindsets. My Twitter followers helped me with this replay, so if you want to be a part of these videos, consider following me there. Jungling, to me, is almost tied to career feeding in my book of the worst things you can do to hurt your chances of winning a Dota game. Most people know that, but they don't understand why Miracle can jungle sometimes, and they can't. We're going to try and understand exactly why jungling is bad and when is it bad, and it's like maybe 90% of the time. Obviously, it depends if you're a carrier or a support. This right here is a Crusader PA, and she's trying to farm a Dazzle when she realizes the Dire is pushing bottom. On one hand, this player has the awareness to realize the push, but the way he goes about it is awful. If you watch the end result, you might think, oh, 2 Dire heroes are dead, this is not so bad, right? It's pretty bad. They are fighting for an objective that is already gone. PA TP to a fight without finishing the Dazzle, pushing top, which means whatever is acquired here means absolutely nothing. The right way to go about this play starts before we even mention PA. You see, the only real catch Dire has that PA should be worried about is Legion. The Blink Legion is the only hard lockdown on Dire, so when that hero is missing from the map, PA should jungle or at least not push deep waves. But Legion was showing bottom for ages. Dire somehow pushed bottom from a full HP tier 1 all the way to the tier 2 with Legion showing all the time. So while we commended the awareness of PA, she wasn't able to filter the information to know that she should and has to push top as soon as Legion is showing. The mistake here was never PA's allies being too late to defend a tier 2 tower, no. The mistake is PA jungling, which never created pressure so that Dire doesn't feel comfortable pushing. Look at the mindset PA has. It's 15 minutes in, yet she's afraid and aggressively denying when she should be pushing and forcing a reaction top. Dire will never feel comfortable pushing bottom by themselves with Witch Doctor or Silencer TPing top because there's absolutely no pressure. And now Dire feels comfortable diving their tier 1 since they're all there. When you see a push like that with 5 heroes showing and you have that hero, you have to drop everything and start pushing waves. While having a catapult wave top that she could use, PA makes no pressure in jungles. Yeah, Radiant kills 2 heroes, but the tier 1 top tower, the most precious and important one in the game, is full HP, and PA is far away from her triangle to finish Desolator faster. In broad terms, cores should have the lane priority, but what low MMR players constantly fail to realize is if they're complaining about their cores jungling, they could be the one pushing waves. Obviously, some heroes are really bad at it, like an Undying, so maybe just don't pick the hero. So well, if you're not going to push a wave as a support, then do something useful with your time. Camp behind cores, go for a smoke, look for wards, just try to check where everyone is and tell your cores to be careful. Since both his Invoker and offlane Venge are jungling, it's completely fine and advisable that CM does what she's doing. The only 2 initiations Dire has are Monkey King and Sand King. Sand King is showing bottom, while this area is not that deep for her to be that afraid of the Monkey King, and there are a couple of heroes nearby. What we can see later though is the problem. Maybe not problem, but explains a lot about how lower MMR players function. Monkey King shows mid, then Crystal Maiden has access that literally everyone is showing mid, but Sand King and Jakiro. CM and the entire team play as if Dire is behind these 2 bozos bottom, but that's false. This is the type of mindset, since they're so slow, they're like, what is the next thing I can do? And they see jungle camps, and they're always there, so that's why they go for it. Which means their farming is going to be slower, their talent progression is going to be worse, and they are playing with less building, so that's why the game's so hard. See how the mindset is completely backwards? CM saw Jakiro the warning a while ago, and yeah, that's something he could do, but punishing Dire getting a tier 2 with only 2 heroes, whilst Radiant knows there's no one there is the biggest priority and problem with this, but he's thinking about a cliff. A good fight happens, they defend their tower, but on a speed that is much slower than, let's say, an Immortal game. It has nothing to do with reaction time, hitting spells, smoking, making the right items, it's just a mindset shift. Radiant not only took too much to punish this, which means the tower took unnecessary damage, but it also means that the waves are now even more pushed to Radiant, meaning this is only a kill. What makes a great Dota player really hard is the ability to know they're gonna win a fight and then get an objective. This video is another great showing of fights that look completely okay, but they are the reason the games are so long, and the one to blame in this game for this is Void. This player has a better understanding of the game, clearly. Whenever a fight is happening, whenever a big fight is happening that you have vision of and you're a core, you always have two options: help or push a wave. These are the only two acceptable moves 95% of the time. Because of maybe anxiety or lack of knowledge though, he shits on all of the good work he produced by pushing the wave. When you look at Radiant, there is no hero that can solo kill the Void unless he's AFK. That's plain and simple, meaning that it's physically impossible for him to die while that fight is happening. He had a long time to TP bottom. Look what his Skyref was doing the entire time. This is great, this is gold, this will lure the entirety of Radiant there, and thus Void has no risk being here while he is acquiring an objective, making the game progress. You can see that he TPs when he cannot save the Sky. In fact, he was technically dead when Void goes, so what is happening because of this play is he's dealing mediocre damage to that tower instead of pretty decent damage, and he is also wasting a lot of time that he's not pushing towers or killing wave creeps. This fight is not imminent, and this is not a fight he can instantly help, so what he's doing is really risky because Radiant could disengage. They actually saw him TP from the tower, that was the move. But since Radiant is also bad, they end up giving this sort of fight to the Void. But this wouldn't happen in a great game, and that's why pushing waves is so good. You are the one forcing the mistake first. Look how much time it takes for the fight to begin, which is all lost time as we talked, but note that he is deciding to fight without his Skyref Mage, which is most of his damage as well. The thing that it's hard to showcase in these clips is that all of these behaviors are not terrible, they don't make you cringe. What I meant from this sentence is that if this Void was streaming on Twitch, people would freak out about his bad time walk on the cliff way more than his thought process being wrong, failing to realize that, you know, what is actually making this game terrible for him is not the time walk, but the macro decisions. But right here, this is a reason this game took longer, a reason this Void was not as farmed. Look at this offlane Pangolier player. Dire already has a terrible draft when it comes to catch, then you add the fact that Sniper is dead, and on top of it all, you have Pango's items. He runs to the wave, gets vision of 2 supports top, Shaman has no blink, it's impossible for Pango to die with ult, blink, swashbuckle, yet after pushing this wave he runs. He has all the information to know bottom is safe, he has all the means to push, but he doesn't process it. If he aggressively pushes that wave, there's a chance Sniper responds and TPs to that wave. Or someone TPs there and suddenly Radiant can get a kill and Roche can get a kill and push another wave. You know what happens instead? Bottom doesn't pressure, Sniper TPs mid, the fight starts with his Crystal Maiden dying, and now she buys back and Dire can do whatever they want. If there was bottom pressure, someone would maybe TP to defend and it's easier for Radiant to defend their tower, or maybe they can delay the push. The end result here is Pango farmed less than he farmed because he was jungling, and now they're taking tower damage for free when he could have, you know, got 2 great things. In case Radiant wins that fight instead, pushing bottom would have meant they could take a tier 2 tower, maybe get tier 3 damage. Instead, what happens if they win this fight without pushing is nothing, because either mid or bottom is not already hitting the tower, breaking backdoor protection, so maybe they deal 200 damage to a tower instead of taking the tower, instead of dealing 700 damage, accelerating the push, accelerating the game. You see this fight right here? You wanna know who won this fight? The only hero not in it. You see a couple seconds beforehand, Ogre pushed the wave, and he's actually not that great about it, but thank God he's doing this. And now those creeps are hitting tier 3 tower, and that's always an easy way to bring someone back, especially a hungry invoker. The Void here is not the smartest man out there, his chrono was a mistake. The problem though is that regardless of him committing, he was dead. He could chrono and run away, which was probably the only way he lives, but that's just as bad, because now Dire can Roche, push, and Radiant just watches. Pushing waves increases the likelihood that someone will have to deal with that lane, and then any positioning mistake or fight mistake gets amplified, and that's why jungling is bad. It's because you're not pushing waves. Guys, thank you a lot for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you want to watch more videos like this one, or maybe longer and higher quality content, consider joining our Patreon army. We have a 100 Patreon goal right now to hire an editor and increase our production output and quality not only on Patreon, but here as well. If you enjoyed this, take a pic and see if you like it.